We have so much mystique, especially because Kurt Cobain's not around anymore. So I'm always really skeptical because like we're so hungry for stories.
It's the first thing I'd learned to play on like guitar or bass.
It sounds great in the Nirvana record, but like if you came in with a bass that sounded like that, I'd be like, Nick, get a different bass.
I know.
Musicians React. Welcome back to Musicians React. Today we are going to give Teen Spirit the space and time that it deserves. We're going to dive into the Nirvana composition, pick it apart, and figure out what makes it so great. Welcome to Musicians React. Here we go.
Holy shit!
Holy shit.
What an amazing composition. I feel like this song was, for our generation, a lot of people's Beatles on Ed Sullivan moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How guitar sales just went through the roof.
The chords are cool. But the melody over the chords is fucking sick as shit.
It's such a cool melody because it feels very familiar, but in a way that is novel. Like it's linear in the way that like a lot of pop songs, like I know Kurt Cobain was a huge Beatles fan, and like the melody has the same kind of linearity.
What were you listening to growing up? What do you think was most responsible for the way you sound? Or was it even music? Was it?
Well, first it was the Beatles and then it was punk rock.
But there are a lot of kind of like odd interval jumps that make it feel like a little bit stranger.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, one of the reasons it's like so effective. And it's so like signaturely like Cobain, especially with all the like flat sixes and stuff like that.
Yeah, flat sixes and nines, hanging on the nine. And the way the nine, the melody often interacts with the harmony as the ninth of whatever chord they happen to be on in a particular moment, which is also a very Kurt Cobain kind of thing. The thing that stands out to be about the melody, the tension that he builds by not playing the full scale. So the melody basically goes, and then goes back up.
Doesn't resolve.
It never hits one.
There's another moment like that in the chorus where it's like, when it drops down to the D flat.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's kind of over the A flat and the D flat, but if you were actually playing like a full triad, it would clash with the thirds, but because it's all power chords, it's like totally cool.
He's taking advantage of the power chords.
Exactly, yeah.
And adding a lot of extensions in the melody that would otherwise feel super weird.
A power chord is when you only play the first and the fifth note and you leave the third note out, so you can't tell if it's major or minor. So it sounds like this. And it can sound really powerful in its simplicity.
It's so interesting hearing you guys talk about it with you have a technical background that I don't, and like you just hear it so differently than I do. And then of course it makes me wonder, like, how was it composed? Did he have an education around theory, or was he
I don't
like
think so.
just?
I'm pretty sure he was a self-taught, like in the punk scene kind of cat. Even that section in the middle,
Yes.
Yeah.
where it goes Phrygian for a second.
Yes.
It's like so dope. Like that's like jazz hip stuff. You know what I mean?
So Phrygian is a third mode of a major scale, which has a flat 2 in it, which means a normal second degree of a scale would sound like this. The Phrygian sounds like this. He just perfectly captured what he was feeling in this harmony and this melody. And it feels like that. It feels like he arrived at all this from such a genuine place of just like, how am I feeling right now?
Yeah.
As opposed to like an intellectual place that we might arrive at. You know what I mean?
It's like I've heard them talk about how they felt like they didn't want this to be the first single because they thought it was copying like the Pixies thing too much, where like the Pixies had a thing where they would make sections super loud and then super quiet and then put them next to each other.
In the sky,
The thing that's so cool about it is the verse is so quiet, and then it gradually builds up, and then it's so loud, and it just makes every moment like feel epic.
That actually wasn't how people wrote songs. There wasn't a ton of contrast between sections. Like even like thinking back to Beatles records, we talked about Hard Day's Night earlier. Ringo's on the crash the whole time, like, A section, B section, and this like really takes it down for the verses. The bass, it almost sounds like there's a chorus on the bass, but I don't think there's a chorus. It just sounds bright, new, shiny strings is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Rounds with a pick?
Yeah, definitely rounds with a pick. And I think also part of that is in the like performance. Like part of like there's a sort of messiness about, especially in the verse where you can hear it like so clearly, where it's like
it's a really bright sounding bass. It's like there's a lot of high frequencies still on the bass. You hear the pick, you hear the harmonic overtones on the bass strings.
And you hear all the finger slides.
And you hear the
like
finger
that.
slides. They didn't roll off the top on the bass. And there's a lot of high frequency information on the bass.
Yeah, rock bass at that time was like fairly zingy and bright. Part of it, you can get it from like the articulation and how you hit the string. Like,
I actually prefer dark bass.
me too. Yeah.
It sounds great in the Nirvana record, but like if you came in with a bass that sounded like that, I'd be like, Nick, get a different bass.
I know.
The guitar that's like the like ringing and that's all it does.
I think it's actually
verses?
just 5-1.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
CF, and
It's
that's
just-
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why does everything sound like it has chorus on it?
Yeah,
I know there's
Everything
not.
does have
There
chorus.
might be like a subtle phaser.
It's some modulation on the
something.
guitar.
Chorus is a modulation style effect that makes it sound like there's an additional instrument supplementing the original source audio signal, often by slightly detuning the doubled.
Can we talk about Dave Grohl for a second?
Oh my God.
Holy shit. This
What a performance.
drum performance
It's so good.
is like, it just defines the fucking decade.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
you think of 90s music and you think of this drum performance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
It's
Dude,
so perfect.
It's like
And-
the drum fill is like the Rock With You fill for 90s
yes,
rock. You know?
yes.
Yeah, this feels like the era when drummers were still like trying to sound like Led Zeppelin. Like the kind of double kicks every once in a while, which are
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the metal vibe with that like
Yeah.
he does a couple of those roll kicks.
It's so tasteful. I
but
feel
it's
like
I know it doesn't feel metal at all.
Yeah.
It feels hard rock. Can we talk about one interesting arrangement choice here is so this guitar,
yeah.
right there's the 5-1
Common
on that
tones.
guitar. And now listen to the pre-chorus. It's just like double time basically. Same part, just every beat instead.
Building tension.
More tension.
Jaws, something's coming. There's a chorus coming. Dave Grohl, take us to the chorus. Man. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. What's so cool about this, too, is that they're using the same ingredients as people have always used. It's basically like Chuck Berry and the Beatles. Like you could, if the Beatles played this song, it would work. And like aside from there not being distortion pedals back then, it would sound kind of the same. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not that dated because it's very simple. It's like if somebody made a new food out of like rice, beans, cheese, and tortilla, you'd be like, oh, fuck, these ingredients have been here this whole time and nobody's ever done that. Like they did that for they like reinvented the trio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hear that he actually quadded vocals in the studio.
Really?
And then was like, that's all you get. I'm not doing it again. And then they had to just like either comp or multi-track. And he just kind of didn't want to do more than 4. And so they never got more than 4.
He just didn't feel like it? Or?
Yeah, just didn't want to. It was just like,
Okay.
that's enough. That's rock and roll. I'm done.
3 more than I got from Sinatra.
And maybe this is just like retrospect, but like these lyrics are so sad. and like hearing him scream them over and over. I wouldn't want to scream them over and over just because it's so hard to say those things over and over.
I feel stupid and contagious, but it's just like there's just like this outcast thing. And like, I'm worse at what I do best. It's just like lots of self-deprecation. And like, yeah, that's kind of what I feel from it.
I'm not sure that there's logic to the lyrics. The feeling that stringing these lyrics together gives you is what it means.
All the syllables feel exactly right. All the sounds of the syllables and like the internal rhyme of like whatever, never mind is just like, they all feel exactly right. So it's just kind of this, it's so visceral. And like the shape of the words is so important, like how the syllables interact with the melody and the rhythm. Cause like you can tell when somebody shoved a word somewhere and it's like better to just use one that fits and doesn't mean anything, I think most of the time. But yeah, I think there's this balance of like finding words that you don't hear all the time. Like mountain and fountain, I think get that out of there forever. Voice and choice, I don't really want to hear those ever again. But like
the worst thing for me is life and strife.
Nobody says strife in real life.
Nobody ever has said strife in conversation.
Yeah. So okay. So I think that I actually think we're onto something here with that. Like, it is associative, but the words are so. Jarring, and they break the pattern of lyrics.
Yeah.
You don't hear somebody screaming about a mosquito very often.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's screaming about a mosquito. It's really, you can't not pay attention to that. It like demands your focus. There's a lot of pattern breaking. Like one thing about the rhyme pattern in that chorus, a mulatto, an albino, a mosquito, and you're thinking a sharino, but he doesn't. He does a mulatto, an albino, a mosquito, libido. He breaks the rhyme pattern. He does A, or A, B, C, C.
I was expecting Dorito.
He's constantly playing with your expectations, even in the way he's rhyming words. Some of my favorite lyricists, John Lennon, Kurt Cobain, Beck, their whole thing is association, rhyme, wordplay, sound play, and I really like that type of lyric writing. But maybe I don't have the confidence to do it or something. I don't know. I always feel worried that like, oh, I'm cheating. There's not real meaning here.
But if it makes you feel something, I mean, that's what songs are. It's not just words. It's how you say them, and it's what they sound like, and it's how it makes you feel. And if songs are just trying to translate a feeling to someone, then that's enough to me.
It's really hard to divorce yourself from meaning. Like, to me, that's like the first filter that I'm not even conscious of. I always feel like my lyrics need to be defensible, and they absolutely don't. No one's going to ask you why that word is there if it feels good. And like, you should not underestimate the audience's ability to feel what you're feeling. It's like impressionistic.
Yeah, like that last verse, and I forget just why I taste. Oh yeah, I guess it makes me smile. Like I don't like and then the second part, like I found it was hard to find. Oh well, whatever.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't really like me. It doesn't have like a narrative structure, but I totally know what he's talking about.
It might be apocryphal. I'm always like skeptical of things like this, but just that Kurt Cobain would finish writing the song like right before he went on stage.
I've heard that fucking rumor too. Isn't it weird how we hear these legends about artists? Where did that come from?
Well, people get so excited to have a story. Like we have so much mystique, especially because Kurt Cobain's not around anymore. So I'm always really skeptical because like it might just be something somebody saw him do once and he might not have even been doing that. But people are so hungry for stories.
Yeah, Kurt's writing down what kind of pizza he wants after the show. And it's like, oh my God, he writes his lyrics right before he goes on stage. For me, it's the do you believe them thing. It's does it feel authentic? Does it feel real? And does it resonate?
So does it come down to performance? If it's associative lyrics, the performance needs to just be straight from the fucking heart.
I think the melody too. The music, like the musical stuff makes stuff like that. The image is real. And so if the melody's really, really, really good, then you'll believe it.
God, he's good.
He's so, oh man. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for being here. If you have ideas for what we should pick apart next, what we should listen to, what we should talk about, please leave them in the comments section below. If you like this and you want to see more episodes just like this, please don't forget to subscribe. We're coming out with new Professional Musicians React video every week. We hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you next time. Adios.